So Yogesh was supposed to do string matching. I thought I should do some bit of this because it's a very important problem, the pattern matching or looking for a pattern in a string. So we use this day in and day out, right? The most common example that we use day in and day out of looking for a pattern somewhere. Contact search. But that we don't do day in and day out. Google search, right? So every day we are putting some string which we request Google to do it for us in a humongous amount of data. And any other example? Similar but smaller scale. Yeah, finding words in documents, Word document, PDF, we commonly do that, right? Sorry, when we are typing?
Guess the word.
Oh, guess the word.
When I'm typing something, for example.
Yeah, okay, so that's some intelligence that any particular application or software is adding to it. But but what is the basic function? The basic functionality is that we give a small string.
And it has to be searched in a large.
Yeah, so we are. We are giving a small string to be searched in a large document, right? So the problem can be modeled as we are given a text string. So whatever search we are doing it in some document which we can represent or think of as a string of characters, right? Fine, the whole document we can imagine as a string of characters. We may have some white space characters in between, that's fine. So our input alphabet will be defined accordingly. We may have tabs, we may have blanks, we may have other types of white spaces, so that's fine. That's how our input alphabet is defined. Okay, so we have a text string drawn from whose letters or elements are drawn from some input alphabet, and a pattern or another string which we call a pattern. We are looking for the existence of that pattern in that string. So for example, if T is as shown here, if T is this, the document that we are searching, the string that we are searching, and the pattern we are looking for is ABC, then ABC occurs in T at several places. One is this, another is this, and another is this. So we say that the first occurrence starts at T3, which is 1, 2, 3. So we start indexing from 1, right, not 0 in this setting. So this is T3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then 9, 10, 11, 12, then 13. Okay? So the second appearance occurs at T9 and the third occurrence occurs at T13. So however, we'll be dealing only with the first occurrence. Okay? We can have variation of this. Okay? So what will be the naive approach? Naive approach, you just place the pattern below the first character, assume that the pattern starts at location 1 and just try to see whether it is true or not. So A matches, B matches, but there is a mismatch. Now what do? So we see that A and B match and CD does not match. So we go shifted by one position. Slided by one position. And so again, so there was a mismatch at the first character itself. So we again shifted by one character. Then again there is a mismatch at first character. So we shifted here, and now the match has been found at after 3 comparisons. So in this case, after about 8 comparisons, the substring P is found. What is the worst case? That's okay. Okay, the worst case could be that the pattern is not found, but the pattern is not found is not necessarily a worst case.
Length of the string T, order is.
No.
For A's and we are looking for A, B, something like that. The last character every time.
Exactly. The worst case is when the mismatch occurs at the last character. It's after spending m unit of time, after doing m comparisons. So m is the length of the pattern, n is the length of the string, the document, and we assume that m is much smaller than t. So in the worst case, the failure occurs every time at the mth character. So that means for every shift by one space, you are spending m unit of time. So in the worst case, what is the number of comparisons? Nm. So this is a kind of string. Okay. So this is a kind of string when the mismatch occurs here. So for every one, we are sliding by one position, the mismatch occurs at the last location. So this will continue to happen until n minus 4th alphabet and so on. So we can see that the worst case running time is, don't worry about this, n minus m is for the last. So don't worry about this. So it is nm plus m for the timing. Let's just ignore the complications. Just nm is clear, right? Right? For every shift by one space, you are spending m unit of time. So it's order nm. So another approach is through finite automata. All of you are familiar with this. What is a finite automata? So given a pattern which is of much smaller size as compared to the text, we can design a finite automata to recognize those strings. That's how we define the finite automata, right? We want to design a finite automata that will recognize my pattern. Okay? So for this, the finite automata will look like this, starting from S0. If you have seen 1A, you go here. If you have seen 2 A's, you go here. Anything different from A, you come back. And if you see 3 A's, you come here. From here, if you see anything different from A after having seen 2 A's, if you see anything different from A, you come here. If you have seen 3 A's, you come here. And well, it should have been not of F. If you see an F, you go to the final state and accept it. If you see anything different from F, it should be F, you come back. Okay? Well, I think there's something wrong here. We need to correct it. If you see an A from here, you come here, and so on. Yeah. Okay. So fine. It's not F. Not F is fine. Yeah. Because this represents having seen 3 A's. So you can't go to this because it would mean having seen more than 3 A's. So this is okay. Okay. So this is.
What is hash key?
Not A. Any symbol different from A. So your input alphabet may have what 128 characters or 256 characters, whatever, depending upon your character set. So so just a shorthand for that. But when you do it on machine, you will have to have an edge for every character. So it's not actually in implementation, it is not A and not A. In actual implementation, it may be several characters. You have to have an edge for every character. So what is the size of this finite automata? What is the size of this? So you will have something like m states, okay, but from every state you have an edge on, oh my god, you have an edge on every character, right? So it is the size of this is something like m times the size of the alphabet. Can we do something? Close it. Worst case running. What's the worst case running time, as we have seen in this okay. So having constructed the finite automata, we have constructed the finite automata and kept it aside. Pattern is small, we can do that in time m times the size of the input alphabet. Now let's see how much searching time. Okay, how much searching time? What happens? I don't have the figure for that. Pen. Okay. Suppose I have how will it work? I will see this, scan this character and just we see that it matches A, so we'll change our state. We go to S1, then we scan this, we go to S2, then we scan this, we go to S3, and when we see a B, we go back to S0.
There should be a loop on S3 also.
There should be a loop on S3 for, huh?
If we see an A or
If we see an A, no. If we see an A, no. We want exactly 3 A's followed by F. Otherwise it will allow more than 3 A's.
but then that would mean that
My pattern is exactly 3 A's followed by F.
so suppose I have seen 4 A's followed by F,
If I have seen 4 A's followed by F,
that means I have seen 3 A's followed by F.
okay. Yeah, that's what I meant there. So not a loop, but yeah. So no, just give me a second. So after having seen 3 A's, yeah, actually here we should go to S3, right? Right. Yeah, that's what I meant at that time. Yeah.
I think we have not specified. It is exactly for 3A and F, and the below is more than 3A.
Yeah, we'll have to be careful. It will accept those strings as well. So, just give me a second. Not of A. If we don't see any, if I see an A, then it should stay here. If we see an A, then okay, so we can make a non-deterministic and convert it to deterministic.
Logic that because what we are doing is we are shifting it by one position, so in any case it will be able to find it. Because when you shift next point onward, it will start checking. In optimization, if you have seen 4 A's together, maybe we should not go to the previous stage.
If we see another A, then we should.
The logic that we are doing is
We don't want to accept any number of A's.
the logic is
Okay, let's think of it like an NFA. Think of it as an NFA rather than a DFA. Then it becomes easier. We can convert it into an NFA.
Why can't you think of it as a deterministic machine? Just have a loop, just make S3 loop on it.
Then we will accept any number of A's followed by F also. But that's not, okay, agreed. Okay, fine. Fine, so we can have a loop, right? Correct. Correct, it's okay.
As per the algorithm that we have seen, as per that algorithm, this DFA should, this FA should work.
Okay.
If we use this self loop on S3, then in that sense we can also take a self loop from S2 to S1. There should be a back edge. If we does not see a A, this FA is working fine for the algorithm that we have seen. That once you encounter a failure, you start at the very next letter of the from the character which you started at before. If I was at ith character,
Okay.
and somehow at some position
All right.
found a failure,
All right, it can be thought of that as well.
We are not taking part of the such thing as
All right.
when we should
Okay.
shift accordingly. We are not doing that.
Okay, so I'll repeat that as well. So, all right. So, we can do it without loop. Why? Because we are only looking for failure. So, as soon as we get a failure, we are going to slide our pattern on the text and start it all over again. So, yeah, which is, slide it by one character. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so if I had completed my search, then probably we would not have gotten into this. So, all right. So so basically this represents a, this, okay, I can use this for this also. So this represents a failure. Yeah. Now when we get a failure, we can slide our pattern on this. So there are two different ways of interpreting. What she is saying is also right. Then we keep on moving in the this thing in the text, and if we interpret it this way, then we can imagine that we are sliding the pattern.
So in that case, the top edge should be not F.
Not F. That is there. That I have already said.
in that case, the algorithm is same as the line.
Yeah.
There would be no benefit of using the finite version.
Right. Right.
That clearly says that it's not exactly an automaton, but that is an improvement. I mean, that is a change in the AFC machine. Yeah, because it's following that algorithm.
Yeah, we have not talked about KMP, so let's not talk about KMP. Okay, so let's just focus on this algorithm. So I come back to Rachana. Yeah, a good observation and a good discussion. So and a good morning that people are awake. Okay, so correct. She says that we are not only looking for failure. If we were looking for failure and on encountering a failure, I slided my text P over that text T, then it is nothing but the naive algorithm. But we are not doing that. Naive algorithm was different. I want to use this finite automata to do my search in constant in order n time. I don't want to go back. I don't want to scan any character more than once. No, this is a different, so that was an expensive algorithm. Okay, so that's an that is a quadratic algorithm.
One more correction that when I, after looking two A's, I reach S2.
Okay,
Right?
then maybe you should come back to S1, yeah, so NFA. So those kind of things. If you see, what are you saying? If you see an A,
If I see an A, I go to S2.
from S2, if I see an A, I go here. If I see anything different from A, then I go back to here, right?
Then I should go back to S1 because I have just seen one A. Initially,
No, but after A, I have seen a non-A. I have only seen two A's, and after having seen two A's, I have seen a non-A, so I have to start from beginning. Yeah?
This link will end with triple AF.
this string will definitely end with triple A and F, but if we have a loop on this, we should have a loop on this on A. So that's the final verdict. Huh? Any other observation? Fine, huh? So let's change our example a little to accommodate for this. Okay? Okay. So put a loop there. Imagine that there is a loop. I'll make this correction. Imagine that there is a loop on A here. So yeah, so this should be not A and F. Not A and not F, right? So when I see an A, I go to S1, then S2, then S3, and here I stay in S3, I should. Here I stay in S3, I should. Now I see a B, so I go to S0 and start all over again. S1, S2, S3, and again S3, again a failure, S0, start all over again, S1, S2, S3, S3, and then final state. So this is the string that we are getting. We could have had something more beyond this, that's okay. Fine? So the searching time is order n. That's a huge improvement over the previous quadratic. Every time you have to search. See, once you have made this, how many, so how frequently do you search for patterns in that? Search is more frequent, right? You may be doing huge number of searches. So for every search you are spending so much time. But if you have formed a pattern, then it will take only order n time to search for it. So we have reduced the search time. But of course there is a pre-processing time, and if the size of the input alphabet is big, then it's not good.
And one more thing, if the pattern is not of this form, this has a particular form, regular expression बन जाएगा इससे. So
Pattern always has a regular expression. Just note that whenever you are searching for a pattern, you will always be able to form a regular expression for that.
but if it is a complex pattern, in that case also we can say that
Write a regular expression for that, make a finite automata and do this,
if every character is different, say A to Z and
whatever. That's the idea of making a finite automata.
I don't know if it fits this context or not. We can use Melia or Moore's machine also because it will give us the number of, even count how many times the pattern occurs. मतलब we can convert it to machine also, finite state machine, it won't I think affect them.
Yeah, so I'm not going into the detail of finite automata because I want to do something else. Yeah, that's a form of finite automata kind of a thing. So I'm not going, that was just, if you have any doubt then raise it to me. So I want to do more interesting algorithm.
I think except that these are modified. Given output of every state, so that it's not
Yeah. So of course there is a pre-processing time that, So the total running time is order n plus this thing. This is a pre-processing time. M times the size of the pattern into the size of the alphabet. We discussed what is the size of the finite automata, that's exactly that time. So this I've already explained. So this kind of, all right. Now look at this string. Look at this string. So I'm kind of comparing with the knife. I'm comparing it with the knife because that gives us an idea. So a mismatch is found at this position. Okay. The knife would have shifted it by one position. Okay. But as we can see that we can shift the pattern by more than one location. So there's slight misalignment here. We can shift the pattern by 3 position instead of 1. Align this with this, this with this, this with this, this with this, and come here. So here we find a mismatch. But the point is we can shift it by more than one position, and then of course we start comparing from beginning again, A, B, C and so on. Okay, we can think of it, we will have some more improvement. We will not exactly do this, but the point to note is here is that we could have shifted by more places. The same example, the same example, you see that there are 2 shifts possible. AC, ABC. I got a mismatch at ABC, 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 AF. Here, I got a mismatch here. So, one way to shift this was ABC, ABC, and another was to shift it a little more. We could have shifted this much or we could have shifted this much. Still we have some alignment. Rather this. Okay. So we don't know how much we should shift. That's the question. We can shift, we can see that visually that we can shift by more than one position, but the question is how much should we shift? That's the big question. Okay. Another example, we can shift so big a jump, and if somehow we knew that by shifting it so much I will find my pattern quickly, I would prefer to have this jump. Now how to decide how much to shift? Okay. So for that I'll use suppose that this is my text and let's see. These are not important, just ignore. I'll draw a figure for this. So this is my text and currently my pattern is placed here. Currently my pattern is placed here. So up to this my pattern has matched. Up to this my pattern has matched with the text. So this part is same as this part. My pattern has matched. My pattern is placed here and up to this part has been matched. Right? This is what was happening. At some point of time the pattern is placed with respect on the text somewhere, and some part of it has been matched. So this part has been matched and there is a mismatch here. And the question we are asking is how much we should shift. How much we should shift so that we do it fast. Okay? So let R be the length of longest prefix of P that matches the suffix of dash. This I am going to fill up. Now I would like to fill up, I would like to shift as much as so that so when I shift, my this part is going to get shift, right? My this part is going to get shift. So I want to shift my pattern. I want to shift my pattern so that this part of my pattern aligns with this part of the text, right? ये text ही चल रहा है ना? We want to shift so that this part of the pattern, if we shift it, this part of the pattern matches with this part of the text. So far so good? Okay. Now note that this part of the text was same as this part of the pattern. Right? Thus saying that the prefix of my pattern, this is my P which I have slided, the prefix of my pattern should match the prefix of this part of the text is same as saying this, that it should match with this part of my text. Sorry, this part of my pattern. This is the only tricky thing. I want to slide my pattern so that this part of my pattern matches with this part of my text. Up to this it's fine, right? Now I am using the fact that I had already matched this part of pattern with this part of text. Failure occurred here. So that means this part of the text, this information I already have in my pattern. So I will actually try to match the prefix of the pattern with suffix of this part of the pattern. The pattern, the part of the pattern that has been matched.
Since mismatch has happened.
No, since before the mismatch everything was matched. Before the mismatch everything was matched. Therefore that part of the text is actually nothing but this part of the pattern. Right? This part of the text, we have already said, this is marked with red, right? The red part of the text is matched with the red part of the pattern and the failure occurred here. Okay? Now I want to slide my pattern from here to here so that this part of my pattern matches with this part of the text. So far clear? I know where the problem is. Now when I come to this, half of the people understand, half of the people do not understand. This, I want a suffix of this red part, but this red part is same as this red part. So finding a suffix of this red part is same as finding the suffix of this red part, which is nothing but the pattern.
Which red
this, the part of the pattern that has been matched. See, so okay, I place the pattern somewhere on the text. I have matched this part of the text with this part of the pattern, and a failure occurs here. Failure occurs here, right? Now I want to slide the pattern. I want to decide how much, so that I want that this part of the pattern, if I put it on the text here, it should match with this part of the text, right?
That is what we were talking about. So, but your last statement.
So last statement, look at the board. So, so this part of the pattern should match this part of the text, right? What is this part? This part is the suffix of the red part in the text.
That you had initially started matching.
Yeah. This red part is same as this red part of the pattern. This red part of the text is same as this red part of the pattern. So the suffix of this red part of the text is same as the suffix of this red part of the pattern. Okay? So, and we would want this to be as long as possible, so that we don't have to match this part. Okay? So let R be the length of the longest prefix of P that matches the suffix of P is here. Suffix of P1 to Pk minus 1. So this is the most crucial part where it takes the most maximum time to explain to students as well. Okay? So for every k, we remember we can compute shift of k from the pattern itself. What is that? The shift should be k minus 1 minus r. This is k minus 1, this is r. So the shift should be, so this is k minus 1, this is r. So the shift is k minus 1 minus r.
Why are we doing all this shifting?
Because we want to use the information that we have gained while matching the part so far. So it is possible, suppose our pattern is contains some 25 characters and 24 characters have been matched and the failure occurs at 25. While matching those 24 characters, we have gained some information about the text and we want to use that. We want to use that to give me a better shift rather than a naive approach where I shifted only by one position. So this gives me a more than one, in general, more than one kind of a shift.
Now we can again listen to the last example. I think that you have then the idea will be.
Yeah, I'll just do it. So see, it's a kind of win-win situation for us. If R is long, my shift becomes smaller, but then my efforts are saved here. I don't have to compare these, right? If R is small, I again win because I get a bigger shift. So so that's just a wide, broad intuition, but
If R is small, we get a bigger shift.
if
If R is big, then
R is big, then I'm going to compare this Tj plus k, this element of the text, with this element of the pattern. I have saved this much effort. I'm not going to compare all these again. तो जितना ये ज़्यादा बड़ा होगा उतना मेरा यहाँ का एफर्ट बच रहा है. जितना मेरा ये बड़ा होगा मेरा यहाँ का एफर्ट बच रहा है, राइट? सो ऑलराइट, so that shift k would be k minus 1 minus r. Okay, and this I can pre-compute from my pattern itself, and I will not give you the algorithm to compute shift k, that's a little involved, okay, but I will just give you the intuition of some intuition of that. Yes, 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 yeah, right, exactly. So since she has already raised this, if you look at the analysis, so the algorithm is clear, right? We only need to compute this. Once we have computed this, I will place my pattern there and start. So basically the question we are asking is, what is the next character in the pattern with whom I should compare Tj plus k? So as I said that if r is the length, then I will be comparing this with this. I will compare Tj plus k with P of r plus 1. All these are equivalent. What is the shift? What is the longest prefix? What element of pattern I should compare Tj plus k with? These are all same questions. Once I have computed r, the length of the longest prefix, I can compute the shift, and I can also determine the next element with which I compare this. Okay, so I repeat, let r be the length of the longest prefix of p that matches the suffix of p1 to pk minus 1. Then my shift k is k minus 1 minus r, that I will store in my some data structure, some array you can say. I will store this, and this also tells me that if a text character t of whatever you want to say, j plus k, fails to match pk, assuming we have got match up to pk minus 1, then compare tj plus k with r plus 1.
Basically, we have shifted k units. We started comparison at Tj plus 1 and we found the mismatch at Tj plus k. And now I'm restarting my pattern matching at Tj plus k.
Right, exactly. So that's
Shifting of k characters.
kind of, yeah.
Before that, I'm not making the comparisons.
Right, yeah. So I'll tell you the analysis. So so when we are doing the analysis of this, we will compute the what is happening when two characters are being compared, one from the text, one from the pattern. Either the two match or they do not match. That's all. So if we compute the number of matches and the number of mismatches, that gives me the time complexity of my algorithm. Okay. So now what happens if I match? If a character is matched, we move forward in the text and never go back. This is what Mansi said just now. If a character in the text has been matched, if this character has been matched, it never participates in another comparison. It's only when there is a mismatch that Tj plus k will participate in another comparison. Earlier it was compared with Pk, now it will be compared with P of R plus 1. And again a failure occurs, it may have to go back, and again a mismatch occurs, it may have to go back further, and so on. So one character can participate in more than one mismatches, but no character participates in more than one matches. As soon as a match is found at a text character will move forward and never come back. Okay? Alright. So how many number of matches we can have? Length of the? No more than length of text at least. That's easy to say, right? So a character in a pattern may participate in more than one matches, right? So PR plus 1 was matched here also, and it may match here also. So a character in a pattern may participate in more than one matches, but a character in a text never participates in more than one matches. So the number of matches is order n. Correct? Fine. A character in text does not participate in more than one matches. So number of matches is order n. And what happens when there is a mismatch? Now a character can participate in more than one mismatch, but what else is happening? So whenever a mismatch occurs, we slide the pattern at least by one position. We slide the pattern. Whenever there is a mismatch, we slide it for sure. The shift is always greater than or equal to 1. Okay? Yeah. The length of the prefix could be 0. Length of the prefix, suffix prefix could be 0, but then that's a good scenario for us. We have got a good jump. So, but yeah, so this is always greater than or equal to 1. The shift is always greater than or equal to 1. Yeah, of course, the non-trivial prefix suffix. Non-trivial prefix suffix. That gives you this. What do you mean by non-trivial? So, just how do you make sure that the shift is greater than or equal to 1? I made this claim. So, okay, let's not get into that. So, if I have P1, P2, Pk minus 1, then this entire string is a prefix of itself. This entire string is a suffix of itself. That will match. That is a natural longest prefix, but it's a trivial one. So, we say non-trivial, longest non-trivial. So, the length of the non-trivial prefix suffix would be at most k minus 2. Let R be the length of the longest non-trivial prefix of P. So, the length of the R is at most k minus 2, and hence shift is at least 1.
This is the case when you have same character.
This is?
The case when you have same character.
What? What is the case?
entire string is its prefix and
No, in general, A, B, C, D, E, F. A, B, C, D, E, F, what is the prefix of, is A, B, C, D, E, F? So if my P is A, B, C, D, E, F, I'm asking the question, is A, B, C, D, E, F a suffix of, a prefix of P or not? Is this a suffix of P or not? Yeah, so the answer is yes for both. So this is a trivial candidate if I don't write non-trivial. It is a trivial candidate for R. But we are looking for non-trivial such case, otherwise we won't gain anything. We won't get any shift, we get stuck in the same loop. This will always be the case, shift will be 0, so we are not gaining anything. So in non-trivial, why non-trivial? So that we make at least some progress. And what is that progress? That we'll be able to shift at least by one position.
So while implementing, we check if it's a non-trivial case.
Yeah.
Because then we are not making progress, so we have to check that it's a non-trivial.
Yeah, our algorithm must make sure that it is a non-trivial prefix. Yeah.
Because linear algorithm जो है उसको भी 4 problems because it is if we not if we are allowing R to be k minus 1
So
then shift would be 0.
no progress. No progress. So we don't allow shift to be R to be k minus 1. We say R is less than or equal to k minus 2. Huh?
R has to be less than
Make a shift.
k minus 1.
Right.
Otherwise it will start in infinite because
That's-
there will be no loop.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And that ensures that shift is at least 1, and therefore the number of mismatches is at most. Number of mismatches is for every mismatch we are sliding the pattern over the text at least by one position. How much we can shift? At most n times, right? How many times I can shift? At most n times. So I cannot have more than n mismatches. I don't want to erase this just in case it is required. Suppose I find a mismatch here. I find a mismatch here. Okay? And suppose my R turns out to be k minus 2, which tells me that I should shift only by one position. So I will shift this pattern by this. Again I compare this with this and a mismatch occurs. It's possible. I will shift it again. Suppose again my R is k. I am talking about the worst, well, kind of, as far as shift is concerned. I will again shift. So every time I find a mismatch, I am computing my shift, which is guaranteed to be at least 1. Yeah, this is the last thing, so I'm spending time on everybody to understand.
Every text character should be after a mismatch. Every text can be matched by at most 8 characters of pattern.
I'm not talking of matches, I'm talking of mismatches.
In case of mismatch,
What happens?
compared with.
What happens when there is a mismatch? I'm counting the number of mismatches. I'm not counting the number of comparisons.
I'm counting the number. Okay.
I'm counting the number of mismatches. Huh? How many mismatches?
PJ plus K again got mismatched, supposedly.
Yeah, but what happens before that? TJ plus K, I compared it with some new character of pattern. How did I get that? By sliding the pattern, right? So that means I am sliding my pattern at least by one position, right? How many times I can slide the pattern? Order n times, right? So the number of mismatches is at most order n. Okay? Yeah, whatever, order n minus m, etc., etc. Okay, I'll take it offline with you. So, now each comparison leads to either a match or a mismatch. There is nothing else. So, the total number of comparisons would be order n. So, I think what you are asking, we have already counted in matches, that R thing, etc., etc., that we have already counted in matches. Okay. So, yeah. Given that we are able to compute shift fast, we can do the search in linear time, order n time, which we were able to do even in case of finite automata. Okay. So, what have we saved? What have we saved? Actually, it is here that we are saving, which I am kind of skipping, that this can be done in order m time. But I'll just slightly give you an intuition of this, why I claim that this will be order m. So, what is happening when you are computing the shifts? You have a pattern. Now you don't have a text. For every k, you want to compute the largest suffix of this part which matches with the prefix of this part. यही हो रहा है ना? Right? So basically what I am trying to see is, like, where should I place this P over this P? I place a copy of P over this P. Earlier I was placing a copy of P over T. Now I am placing a copy of P over P. Okay? And so that these are aligned. Just broad intuition. Okay? And so the thing is that we are doing something similar, and by the same arguments you can say that I can compute this in order m time now. Each character of this will participate in at most m matches and at most m mismatches while computing this, etc., etc. But we don't argue it this way. This is not how we argue this, but this is a broad intuition. Okay, if I give you the algorithm, you will anyway be lost. Yeah, this is just an idea, yeah. So now I am saying that algorithm to compute the shift while matching the pattern with the text, right? That's the description of shift k. Now, earlier I just said that, okay, you assume that it's there and then we will do the search. Now I am giving you the algorithm to compute shift k without giving the details. The idea is, earlier we were placing the pattern on the text and we got order n. Now we will place a copy of pattern on the pattern itself, so that this is aligned with this. So it's similar kind of thing, and what earlier we could do in order n comparisons, we will be able to do it in order of the length of this above string. This string is now kind of playing the role of t here, right? Kind of. So this can be computed in order m time. So just take it from me. Details you can see those who are teaching, and if you still find some problem, we can discuss the details. So the whole algorithm runs in linear time, that is order m plus n. So in this case we have reduced the processing time from this to this. This is the processing time, pre-processing time. We have reduced the pre-processing time from this to this. Computing the shifts is a pre-processing step. The way books talk about it is not in terms of shift, it is something else, but as I said, you can map it to that. I have not seen string matching in TARDOS, honestly speaking. I find Sarabase to be, Sarabase is very good description. Yeah, but it doesn't talk this way. I mean, though it talks about this, all these things it talks about. But as you see, even in explanation, it's becoming a little tedious, this mapping this to this. But you will find all these things in Sarabase.
Very well written.
Yeah, but this intuitive idea, I think this also should be there. I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
Idea about this.
Okay.
But it's not very easy for students to understand it. I often get this complaint that we don't understand what it's trying to say. It's so complicated that we switch off.
Yeah, so don't, it's better to kind of keep them away from any book and give this intuition, because what is happening is the cost is being amortized. The cost is being amortized. In some operations you are spending too much time. On some characters you are spending too much time. If a mismatch occurs here and a mismatch keeps occurring here, you are spending too much time here, but then you have already shifted it a lot and you have saved the time. Spending too much time here would mean that here you have spent very less time. So it's basically amortized analysis, which
That will take you some of wherever you have shifted. So either you have spent less time there or there.
yeah.
So just using this addition of the
Yeah. I think he talks about a little different, that something, the maximum value it has is n, then it keeps on decrementing. It can decrement at most n times. Even I don't understand much of that. I mean, since I know it's okay, but yeah, that language is kind of difficult. But this part is very nicely explained. This part is very nicely explained there, yeah. Okay. I think that's it. These are some same thing. Yeah, okay, one thing. Why longest? Why do we want the longest prefix? Why can't we have smaller one? So, no. If you will take a smaller one, you may even miss it. Forget the time. Even the correctness is questioned. Okay, so here's an example. So same example, mismatch. We have two types of prefixes. One is ABC, 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 A. One is ABC, ABC, A. Another is ABC, A, non-trivial. If you are looking at non-trivial, there are two prefixes, ABC, A and ABC, ABC, A. दो prefixes है ना? Let's see with both of them. If I take the longer one, I am able to find it. Longer one gives me smaller shift. Okay, but if I take the smaller prefix, I will even miss it. I have jumped too much. Okay? I have jumped too much ahead. I have skipped my pattern. So,
Maximum R space.
yeah. So I have already given you all this thing. So these slides have been prepared with the help of some students, earlier batches. Of course, I had to compile and extract what I wanted to do today. Okay. Any question? Okay, thanks. Thanks.